It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Ohio Political News, the podcast show in living color. There we go. Wouldn't have it any other way. How are you guys doing out there tonight, Brian?
Doing great. Welcome to everyone.
Good to see you. Jonathan, good to see you. All right, great.
Hey, everybody.
We got to get right into the... before we get right into it, we got Chris Long with us here tonight. Chris Long from the Ohio Christian Alliance. There you are. How you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening.
To be with you.
All right. Before we get to Chris Long, I got to show you a couple of things here real quick. So we are on X. X marks the spot. And just a couple of things here on our X channel that I thought was kind of interesting here. This will be kicking in. We are live, so this will be kicking in very, very shortly. This is like a 1 minute time delay. Your fried chicken guides, John Bolton. And he's just yakking away saying Barack Obama is innocent. Here's our beloved governor. He's out at the Ohio State Fair, and he should be doing something to improve property tax reform instead of going down slides or watching that. And, here's the best one of all. Look at 1970. All right? That's 1970. Same spot, 2025. Do you notice anything different?
Oh, my gosh.
Lord.
Same beach,
Whoa.
just a little different. 1970. I said I like the good old days. I like the good old days. That's kind of crazy right there.
Oh, my gosh.
So times do
back the good old
change.
days.
Times do change despite what people have to say about all that. All right, let's get it with Chris Long from the Ohio Christian Alliance. Chris, tonight let's just get right into what we want to talk about. You put out a statement on your website. Let me put that up here real quick here. This is your website. You have some kind of a reception coming on pretty soon, but that's really...
We do. We have our Freedom Banquet. Our Fall Freedom Banquet is October 2nd with Bill Feder, author and historian. That's going to be at the Villa Milano in Columbus. And also that night, we're going to be giving our Patriot Lifetime Achievement Award to Mr. Bob Burney of WRFD Radio, Salem, Columbus. He's been on the airways for drive time for 25 years, and he is retiring at the end of this month. And we're going to award him with the Ohio Christian Alliance Patriot Lifetime Achievement Award. That will be on our website. That's actually on Facebook right now and our Twitter account. You can see the announcement there. It's not on our website yet with Mr. Bob Burney, but it's going to be an exciting evening, and then Bill's going to be presenting, and we're going to have a great time at the Villa Milano, and you can actually buy tickets there on our website at ohioca.org, and we're going to have more announcements about the Fall Freedom Banquet. We're very excited about that.
Yeah, it sounds like a good one. So that is coming up. All right, I'm going to get right to you right here. Off your press release here. This is on the Ohio House veto. That's pretty small print. Let me just see if I can enlarge it real quick.
Well, I can read it for you. I got it here in my hand. And so here's the statement from the Ohio Christian Alliance on the Ohio House veto override failure. This happened on Monday on the three important provisions of real estate tax relief. Shockingly, the Ohio House only overrode one of Governor DeWine's vetoes on real estate tax reform. The most substantive reforms have been canceled by the governor with his vetoes. Obviously, Speaker Huffman and the majority could not convince the holdouts to vote with them for the overrides of the other three measures. Only the replacement levy portion was overridden with 61 votes. We will later publish to you the Rhino Republican holdouts. We're going to name those tonight. We're going to name
hang on
names,
one second.
okay?
Hang on one second. Yeah, that's the best part of all. We got to find out who these Rhino Republican holdouts are.
I'm going to tell you, but let me finish this statement.
Wait, yeah, a statement, but I just want to let people know what it is you're reading, okay? Because I think a lot of people might be scratching their head and saying, what is he talking about? Let's just build a little case for what's going on here, because they don't follow stuff like we do, all right?
Well,
they
that's
don't
what the rest
follow
of the
this
statement,
like we do.
Yeah.
So
All right, so here's what real estate tax reform.
Right.
So here's what it says. Listen. The following three provisions were not voted on by the Ohio House to override the governor's vetoes. These measures would have given real measurable tax relief to homeowners. The pain and suffering will continue for the Ohio homeowner. Governor DeWine has failed to hear the appeal of his fellow Ohioans on this critical issue. Seniors will be driven out of their homes, young families will struggle to pay the taxes, and Ohioans across the board will pay more to an already bloated, overpaid local education system. Their bills have all been paid, and they're sitting on $10 billion in revenue in excess taxes collected over the past few years. In comparison, the state rainy day fund only has $4 billion. So
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
local school districts in all 88 counties collectively are sitting on $10 billion.
Okay, now let's stop right there. That is really important. Let's stop there for a minute, because we got to let that sink in a minute, okay? So there's 600 school districts. They have excess revenue that they're carrying over to the next year. This is operating expense, extra revenue, and if you add all of it up, they're not broke. They have an excess of $10 billion. That's with
right.
a B, a billion.
That's right. And so these measures would have been a cap. One of them, the cash balance carryover. The provision would put a 40% cap on a school district's carryover revenue or of the unspent funds a district has on hand at the end of the fiscal year. Under the measure, those funds would have to be returned to the taxpayers. Now that's a fancy notion, huh?
Give them money
to the taxpayer.
Give them money back to the people who gave you money in the first place. So basically, we gave them too much money, and you should give it back to the person who has given you too much revenue. That would be us, the taxpayers. But that ain't never going to happen. Besides, that was vetoed by Governor DeWine. And in addition
by the way, they wanted to override that. They've had about 55 votes to do it, but you need 60. And let me tell you who the holdouts were.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. That was Gail Manning. That was Scott Olslager. That was Jamie Callender. That was former Speaker Stevens. Let's see. There was one more in there. But anyways, it was short of the 60 they needed. They did have one that was missing, Sharon Ray of Medina County. She's going to have to account for this. They said she was on a vacation that was previously planned and all this to try to cover for her. Well, in September, she better be voting for this. But here's the thing. If Matt's not going to bring it to the floor if he doesn't have the 60 votes, so you'll never know from the speaker who these people are. And I think we ought to go Trump on him. Trump calls people out. I mean, look what he's doing. Excuse me, Mr. Massey, the other Massey down there in Kentucky. He's going off on him because he wouldn't vote for the big, beautiful bill. Well, we got holdouts that won't vote for the veto overrides that would give taxpayers relief with these four provisions. And so, we're beating up on them. Again, Scott Olslager. Okay, that guy, I'm told, is bitter because Jane Timken was appointed to the Senate seat. He wanted to continue his merry-go-round ride. That's right. He wanted to continue leaving the House and going to the Senate and going to the Senate. The guy's been terrible for years. We've been trying to get rid of him forever. It took Jane Timken's appointment to stop his merry-go-round cyclical ride from House to Senate, Senate to House. Thank God he's going to be gone. But again, this just shows you what Scott Oslager has been over the years. The other one, of course, is Jamie Callender. Can't miss that guy. He's got the ponytail. He's pushing the pot. Okay, the legalization of recreational marijuana. Come on, man. What are you doing sending us that guy from Lake County? Please give us somebody better next time. And
Lake
then,
County. Yeah, Lake County. You got to watch those Lake County people. Right there. This
Not guilty.
and this and that.
I'm pleading not guilty.
That's Lake County for us, yeah. I always relied on those
Jonathan
guys. You
Broadbent,
can't do it.
You live there? You need to run for the House, brother.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
Jonathan.
south of that.
Jonathan.
Come on, Jonathan.
Come on, run.
Get in
Run.
the fray, bro.
We got to get get
need
some
you in
people in there that we
Columbus.
could trust. So who else? Who are the other rhinos? You got Scott Oslager.
Gail Manning. Gail Manning.
Gail
is
Manning.
doing the bidding of the teachers union, okay? She used to be the president of the teachers union up there in Cleveland. And she's part of leadership. Man has her as part of the leadership. You can't blame her away because what did Winston Churchill say? Keep your enemies close. So he kept the holdovers from the previous administration. He kept those people close to him. Winston Churchill did. And that's what Matt Huffman's doing with Gail Manning. He can keep a close eye on her when he has her part of leadership. But she's not voting for that provision. And that's the one that's really going to get things done. I'll tell you who's been a champion here, and you're all going to agree with me probably, is Dave Thomas, that young man. He's been out there. He's not been hiding. He's furious about this, by the way. He's so frustrated. I try to encourage him. I said, look, this is the thing that happens. That, when you come into office, you come in with principle. You come in with ideas you want to see get done. Here's the conflicting thing that happens with these people: political survival. So then when the teachers union or the other local authorities tell them, we're not going to support you if you don't vote with us, if you vote for that, we're not going to support you. Just stay with your principle regardless of what happens. And so I said, David, that's what you're dealing with, and that's what's happening. By the way, the Ohio Senate is not getting off the hook here. There's actually more holdouts over there. They're like, whew, we didn't have to vote on that because the House rhinos did it for us, okay, with Stevens, Manning, Oslager, Callender, and then Sharon Ray, and there might be one other one. What was her name?
How about this guy? How about this guy right here? Jason Stevens.
Oh, yeah, Jason Stevens, absolutely. He's not going to help. No, he's trying to upend. And by the way, it's funny. I knew this, but there's Sharon Ray. Thank you. You're on top of it.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Good for you, Joe.
I
But
did a
here's
few
the
of these
thing.
ahead of time because I knew we were going to be. Oh, here it is.
God
Cindy
bless you.
Abrams. Cindy Abrams
Yeah,
stabbed
Cindy
us in the
Abrams. I was
back.
just going to mention her. That's right.
Yeah.
There's another one.
All right, but here's a
the
point.
thing.
Here's
Wait,
something I want to bring
Watch
up
this
real
very
quick.
Carefully.
Now, wait one
Okay.
second. You said there were 55 votes for the other overrides. So Huffman
That's a
just
guess.
decided
That's a
not to
guess.
do it
These are
because you needed 60.
Right.
But we have 65 Republicans. Now, I know Jason Stevens, Cindy Abrams, Sharon Ray, Scott Oslager. I know that those four, Oslager voted no. He voted no. The other three didn't show up. But we still had 61 Republicans there. Now, if you count Oslager, who wouldn't
But
vote
that
for
was
any of
only
it,
on
now
one
you're down
measure.
to 60. So you still
No.
would have 60, but you're saying there's another 5 traitors in addition to that.
But understand something. That was only on one of the measures that so Jamie Callender voted for that, but he won't vote for the other three. And this information comes to me from a member that shall not be disclosed, okay, that said, hey, we got some problems here, right? So there's a few other names there that haven't been named, but these are people that you know that won't vote for these 3 substantive measures. Again, Gail Manning, Scott Oslager, Stevens, we don't know what Sharon Ray is going to do. Jamie Callender, and then you just said Cindy Abrams. How many is that? That's like 6, right?
Yeah,
So that's 6 members
There's
right there.
probably a few more than that.
There's a few more than that.
Okay,
but here's what I want you to listen to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a lady messaged me right after they failed the vote, and she said it will be interesting to see these termed out representatives who gets a governor's appointment with big money with it. And that's what you got to look for. This is the treason that happens for us, the people. They'll take the governor, they're doing the governor's bidding, and he's going to say, thank you, here's an appointment. And that appointment, maybe $150,000, $200,000 job a year with that appointment head. So that's what we're dealing with here. That's the kind of thing that goes on all the time in Columbus. We tried to call it out this time. We're furious. But I'll tell you what this has done. What has this done? This has given rocket fuel to the constitutional amendment effort that Leonard and Brian and others are working on. I know that I got a number that one of the organizers told me that they were over 200,000 signatures already. That's really good for this spring, okay? And when people see that, I've said that to a few people, I think it's between 200 and 250,000 signatures they've gathered, and they're going all the way to next July to get it on the fall ballot of next November, and absolutely they can do it. Now, they need some money as far as a money person to get behind it, because they're going to need attorney's fees and they're going to need some commercial time. But it's an 80-20 issue, okay? So this will absolutely take away from these people. And so they're playing Russian roulette here, because DR and I all will vote for this. It's an 80-20 issue. And so it's going on the November ballot of next year. They just need some legal help. They need a donor get behind them, a donor or two to get behind them, and they'll absolutely get to the ballot next year, and it will pass. What will happen? Well, that means then for police, fire, and local schools and anything else is on the local level, you'll have to go to an income tax or a income or sales tax. So there'll be an income or sales tax increase the legislature will have to do, because you can't do it again. You can't lien the homes anymore, because the constitutional amendment will forbid that. So
here's one thing I do want to throw in there real quick is I do not like the fact that you're going to do like a city tax, a city income tax to fund the schools, because that's just going to raise and go higher and higher, and then when you have people that aren't making income, let's say senior citizens, they're just going to say, well, we got to collect more money from everybody else. Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see the schools taken over by the state. Get rid of the teachers union, have them take it over by the state, and let them doge it. Let them doge it. What do you think, Brian? Would that work?
It will be taken over by the state. The state will have to do an income tax increase to provide for police, fire, and schools, or at least for the schools.
Okay.
On the local level,
that's fine. That's fine.
I don't know how that would work. It would have to be a sales tax that would pay for police and fire.
Okay, no, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with paying a tax to the city for fire, police, parks and recreation, libraries, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to be paying for the schools. With that powerful teachers union and everything, that bill would just keep escalating, going higher. It's not helping. It's not helping. So what's going to happen if you don't pay that? But they won't have the power anymore. They won't have the power anymore, because the legislature, if it's Republican, are the ones who are going to be calling the shots from that point. Like somebody from the Buckeye Institute told me this week and said, if that passes, it will be the end of the teachers union. The end of it. They won't have any leverage anymore, because it will be up to the legislature to set the balance sheet of what that funding's going to look like for the schools on the local, across the state. Okay, let me get Brian in here. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, what it's going to take is a very significant restructuring of the school systems, in our opinion. What we have heard here in Lake County, do we need all 611 school districts? In Lake County, we have 9. Do we need 9 school districts with 9 superintendents and all of the administrative costs that go along with that? And as far as the local police, fire, roads, and bridges, we're saying send us a bill. I want to know how much I'm actually paying for my police protection or my fire protection. Right now, I just get one lump sum amount that is in my property tax statement. And I said, that's not good enough. Transparency is the key to good governance. And I want to know how my township is faring compared to the other townships. If we're paying double for police protection or fire protection, I'm going to ask the question, why? They can, if I don't pay the bill, they can file a mechanic's lien. They just cannot foreclose on my home. They can't tie any of the service costs to the home. That's what we're pushing for. And as far as schools are concerned, there's going to have to be some major restructuring. And what we have heard is that legislators, they don't like to really do that. They just want to tinker around the edges, and they really don't want to make the hard decisions. Well, what we are saying to the legislators, and in our press release, this was before the vote came out, we said, we don't care what the vote is. If they were to, pass all or rescind the veto, it didn't matter to us, because people are telling us that they do not feel that they have a voice in their government anymore. And what we're saying to the people is, if you sign this petition and we get it on the ballot, you will definitely have a voice. So that's what's driving us, is that we want the citizens of the state of Ohio to control their destiny. I can give you a chapter and verse of this. Property taxes is the most expensive tax to administer. They hire third-party appraisal companies. Those third-party appraisal companies, they are controlling the destiny of the homeowners, and they're not accountable to the homeowners. That has got to stop. They will not tell us how they determine their calculations of our home values. We have to prove them wrong. We have to spend anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to get an appraisal. No, we got to take the home value. Home ownership is the foundation of our freedom and liberty, and that's the point we're driving home these days. It is a property tax issue, of people being priced out, but ultimately it's a freedom and liberty issue also.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Okay.
Joe, to what Brian was saying, let me read this to you. When we posted up our statement, Mike said the following. He said, I am being taxed out of my home. My monthly property taxes are now higher than my basic mortgage payment. If this goes up more, I'm not sure what I can do. With taking care of my special needs child and being a retired single parent, my wife passed away 7 years ago, I am strapped at being able to work at an outside job to make up the difference. It's getting very tight financially. These are the kind of people that Governor DeWine is ignoring. The governor has lost touch with Ohioans who are suffering with this real estate tax spike. And for that, I'm disgusted by the governor's actions.
100%, Chris. 100% agree. One other thing, when Chris mentioned about the $10 billion that the schools have, I noticed that in Lake County, the amassing millions of dollars from all of these, most of the taxing authorities, I should say, in Lake County. And we had someone on our chat mention that money's got to be in the hands of the people, which will then spur the economy. It does no good just sitting in these bank accounts of these taxing authorities. And part of that on the schools issue is because of the 20 mil floor, where they receive millions of dollars without a vote of the taxpayers. That's not acceptable at all.
All right, hang on one second. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my Zoom. I got to see if the next guest is available or not. Yakov, are you out there? Because he might not be. And this.
Hi, I'm here.
Are you out there? Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can everybody hear him?
Yes, but you're
yeah,
echoing.
We can hear
Joe.
him.
I'm echoing.
He has no echo. Joe, you have an echo.
Hey, Joe?
Yes. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I have to be going here, but I want to thank you for the opportunity to come on tonight. I want to commend Leonard and Brian and Jonathan, all the work they've been doing on the constitutional amendment and on this issue. And it looks like this thing's going to start taking off. I mean, people want to know where the petition is, and that you should probably share that where people can get the petition, the constitutional amendment to basically abolish real estate taxes in the state of Ohio. The state legislature has failed. We said we would work with them until the point which they failed. They absolutely have failed. Unfortunately, it's a few holdouts. I'm not blaming them all. Speaker Huffman has done what he could do. He rallied his people. He got them in here, called them away from their vacations, got them on a Monday, and then you had some holdouts. So there's more to come on this. We're going to stay on top of it. But the only thing to put a whip on them is let's do the constitutional amendment. Let's get the signatures. And that's what I would encourage.
Thank you, Chris.
So, thank you for allowing me to be on it.
That's our mission.
My friends.
Well,
Chris,
thank you,
I'll
Chris.
with you after. I have some comments to make. But
Yeah,
it looks
hang
like we've run
on
out
one
of time.
second. Hang on 1 second. I'll let you go. All right, Chris, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you coming on. We get you on again real soon. We'll talk more. This time goes pretty quick. Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. God bless. Say
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
All right, Yakov, are you out there?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't see you. Are you on video or just audio?
There we go. Should be working now.
Oh, wait a minute. There you are. Turn your camera the other way. Turn it the other way. Your
What do you
cell
need,
phone.
brother?
Turn it landscape.
Oh. Yes, sir.
There
Okay.
you go.
This
All
is
right.
to be better.
That's great.
This is my first
Okay.
time.
I'm really glad. Okay, we got to hear Jonathan. I did not give you a chance to talk when Chris was expounding on what he was expounding on. So let's let Jonathan finish his thoughts, and then Yakov. It is. I got to make sure I'm pronouncing it correct. It is Yakov, right?
Pretty close. Yakov.
Yakov. All right, very good. So we will be getting some information from you, a very young Republican, some information on Trump and the Gaza Strip. So we'll talk about that in a second here. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Okay, yeah, so a couple of comments. I was going to ask Chris before he left if he left room for me at the bottom of his statement for my signatures. I love his statement. I want to sign on to it and add some signatures. Just a few thoughts. One thing I hope people in Ohio consider and pay attention to is the message that these failures have in the state of Ohio. We have a governor who did an unprecedented 67 vetoes of Ohio-led initiatives. 67 things our governor line item vetoed. And for us to make this big stink and this big hoopla and come back and get the legislator back in action and then just sort of limp over the goal line with 1 out of 67, it sends the horrible message to DeWine and anybody like him that they can have their way with Ohio and get away with whatever they might want. I say we should be immediately fighting back, and all of Ohio should be outraged by that. We put together, that is not representative government. I want to be clear about what that is. We have representatives in our legislature, in the state, in the House and in the Senate. They work and put together bills. Some of them we may not like, but purportedly they're doing things on our behalf. And they work these things through the system. When they get onto the governor's desk, I can understand every once in a while if the governor and some sort of moral reluctance or something, a fiscal responsibility, maybe a veto here or there, but 67 of them is outrageous. And the lack of action, the lack of will on the part of our legislature is horrendous and awful. One other thing, Chris Long mentioned somebody who wrote in, who's in a hard way with his family and may lose his house. I hope that doesn't come to pass. I hope that doesn't happen. But we're hearing those stories. If you know people out there, and Brian Massey has found one woman so far who's gone on video and captured her story of the prospect of losing her home, her lifelong home, I suggest we should be capturing those videos. And one thing I'm going to suggest to Chris, I've got his mobile number. I'm going to text it. Stay in touch with that guy, because what I want to see is a massive parade of videos of those stories, and let's shame these people into action. And the last piece is absolutely stay tuned in on what Leonard Gilbert, Brian Massey, and people like them are doing with this proposed amendment to our state constitution, because that's our way forward. That's how we cut the head off of this snake. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so Brian, it's you're doing a yeoman's work there with that. I mean, you're doing excellent. 2 thumbs up for everything that you're.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that.
We're going to try to get helping you more here with Ohio Political News. We're going to try to start working with you as much as we can. We got to get those signatures.
Jonathan, you're absolutely
across.
right, Jonathan. As far as taking some videos, in fact, I did post something on Lobbyists for Citizens. I think we've got 4 of them, 4 videos, and I just got an email from a 72-year-old gentleman in Summit County, basically lamenting the fact that he's paying 27% of his monthly retirement for property taxes. So it's just not sustainable for him also. And I will be going down to Marietta tomorrow and Xenia on Tuesday to talk to patriot groups. And what I also found was that West Virginia also wants to, there's a radio station in West Virginia, because they're experiencing the same thing. This is not just an Ohio issue. I think it's going to be a nationwide issue. And we're very thankful that we can help maybe lead the nation in Ohio by getting rid of property taxes. We're working as hard as we can. We just need more circulators and more people signing the petitions.
Right. Got to get those circulators going. Got to get the circulators going. All right, Yakov, how are you tonight? It's good to see you. So you're, what, you're 21 or 22? How old are you? Oh, I lost your... Go ahead. Talk again. I got to fix your audio. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm 23. That's on my end.
Oh, okay, great. 23. All right. So you're very articulate. You have a lot of knowledge about what's going on with Israel and the Gaza Strip and stuff like that. You're also conservative. I mean, you're a big fan, I think, of the MAGA movement, right? You kind of like Trump. Not too bad. What's your thoughts on Trump?
Well, currently, I think that Trump has done a incredible amount of work for ending or ramping down various current geopolitical tensions. There was a major war in the Democratic Republic of the Congo between, I believe it was between DRC and Uganda, if I'm not mistaken. And it really doesn't get talked a lot about in Western media, and most Americans don't know anything about it. My knowledge on it is admittedly very limited, but that war was threatening to boil over and cause a lot more harm than needed to be. Also, there was a huge flare-up between India and Pakistan, I believe it was 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Not to mention several hostage deals. One that.
Let's do this a second. Let's do this a second. I'm going to show you this map here because I know that you have a lot of knowledge. Can we talk a little bit about what's going on with the Gaza Strip? And it just kind of funnels over into everything else. But when you look at this map here, okay, this looks like Israel right here, and then the Gaza Strip is just that little area right here. It's really not very big. Actually, Israel doesn't look all that big either. Now that
it's all very small and
small country. Okay,
Israel's the size of New Jersey.
Oh, is that right? So it's very small. All right, then you got all this Egypt you got here. Let's just do this for a minute. A lot of people do not understand what's going on in the Gaza Strip right now. We get a little bit of various information, sound bites here and there, but none of us, including myself, can put it together. And I was just hoping we could have maybe a little bit of a timeline understanding of what's going on there. So let me, maybe I'll just ask a few questions if you can help fill some of the gaps in before we get to the current day. But
Sure.
Israel, I know it goes back thousands of years, but 1948 is when Israel really took over this area or reclaimed this area, correct?
Yeah, 1948 was the year of the Israeli War of Independence. In 1947, the UN came up with a partition plan to split up the British Mandate of Palestine, roughly 50-50, I believe 55-45, with the majority of the land being under Israeli rule. Shortly after that, of course, the Palestinians rejected this, and they understood it as an affront. They believed that they have the right to every square inch of the land, and that even a tablecloth's worth of land going to the Jewish state is complete abomination. So
let me jump in here a minute. For Israel, in 1948, or prior to 1948, Britain was in control of that area, correct?
yes.
And then in 1948, Britain just said, we're getting the heck out of here because it's too there's just too much going on. Doesn't make sense to us. We're going to hit the road, right? They got out.
Britain decided that it's the UN's problem now.
It's the UN's problem. So they got out of there, and then there was...
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
They split the land between Israel and the Palestinians, right? Is that what the British did?
Yeah, they made... So, at the time, the term Palestine was used to refer to the entire land, and the general debate was for which land should go to the Jewish state and which land should go to the Arab state, or the Muslim state. But, in fact, if you were to say, I'm a Palestinian, back in 1947, 1946, what you'd really be saying is that I'm a resident of this land. It wouldn't have a connotation that you're an Arab or you're a Jew, like today, where the Palestinians are generally understood to be the Arab population of the land, meanwhile the Israelis are understood to be the Jewish population.
Okay, so let's look at the map again. What year... So in 1948, then some of these Arab countries decided to attack and take over the territory, correct?
Yes. So the Palestinians or the Arabs decided that they would...
And when you say Arabs, you're talking like Egypt, you're talking Jordan, you're talking what countries?
Yes, so all the countries around Israel are Arab countries. Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, even other countries like Iraq or Saudi Arabia are also Arab. But the ones that were involved here, the ones that were involved in this specific war were Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. They aided the Arab movement to try to, through overwhelming force, they outnumbered us, not just by number of countries, but also by sheer number of manpower. The goal was to just flood the country with soldiers until they can drive us all out.
So in 1948, then, what was about a year and a half war, Israel defeated all of those Arab countries that were ganging up on them, right? More
or less. It wasn't a complete victory in that the the British mandate was ultimately still split. The Jewish state managed to retain and even expand the border upon the borders that were given to them by the UN. So that's a victory for the Jewish state. Egypt managed to take over the Gaza Strip, and Jordan managed to take over and annex the West Bank. Egypt never actually annexed the Gaza Strip and never gave citizenship to the Arabs living there. But Jordan, on the other hand, actually did annex the West Bank, and in the Jordanian citizenship law, they passed a law that gave citizenship to the country of they gave Jordanian nationality to all of the Arabs and non-Jews that were living in the West Bank at that time.
Here's a picture of the West Bank again. So it's pretty small. It's a very, very small area. So in 1948 or after that war, whatever, I mean, it gets a little confusing for me, but Egypt actually had control of that, of the Gaza Strip. But since then, and we're going to fast forward now to current times, so now you have living in the Gaza Strip there Palestinians, correct?
Yes.
And Egypt does not want them in their country, right?
Based on, judging by the giant border wall they built between Rafah and the Sinai, that would be a pretty reasonable assumption.
Okay. What seems a little unusual, though, is because Egypt used to own, or I mean, that was their territory, the Gaza Strip for Egypt. Okay. Let's just forward to right now. Let's just fast forward to right now. You've been to Israel many times. What is going on currently? Now, I hear that there are people starving to death in the Gaza Strip. Is that true? What's your thoughts on it? Let's just put it that way.
It's unclear how widespread the famine is, and if there even is a widespread famine. There are reports coming out from Hamas and Hamas-affiliated channels that suggest that there are millions of people that are starving the Gaza Strip. Now, actually, today, Israel approved aid drops by air from several Arab nations. I'm not sure exactly which ones. I believe Egypt and Jordan participated. I'm not sure about Lebanon. I believe that this is mostly for show to try to win the propaganda war, because really airdrops are not a very effective way of delivering aid, and they have in the past killed civilians by landing on them, and also have completely missed their targets landing in the Mediterranean Sea. But if it turns out that these reports are completely accurate, and there are in fact hundreds of thousands of people in the critical stages of famine that haven't eaten in weeks, then of course is an incredibly horrible situation, and I would blame I believe that the full blame rests on Hamas for continuing to hide behind civilian structures, schools, homes, underground, and refusing to release the hostages and refusing to end the war. The war could end tomorrow if Hamas decided that they were willing to give up the fight.
Okay, one last thought here. Hamas is the political party of the Gaza Strip, right?
It's not a political party in the American sense, in that they don't really have a democracy there, but there has been polling done in the Gaza Strip that suggests that a large minority, I believe, I would have to check, but I believe it's something like 35 or 40% of Gazans would support Hamas in an election. But they don't really function as an American political party in that sense. They function more like a guerrilla group.
A terrorist group, yeah. They're a terrorist group that kind of took over that small strip of land. And the Palestinians say, hey, you want to be the government? You can be our government. It's just such a crazy, crazy situation. I want to get you guys' thoughts in there. Go ahead and, if you have a question for Yakov, go ahead. It is very, very bizarre. We're trying to get to the bottom of it here.
Well, I mean, it is a complex world, and that is arguably one of the most complex parts of the world, bar none. That just the type of conflict, the level of conflict, the fact that we've got sort of this overlay of religious tension, and there is a lot. I firmly believe there's a lot of ginned up animosity because there are some people that profit from that, and we see, unfortunately, just a massive amount of money that flows into places like Qatar, however you're supposed to pronounce it, and some very, very wealthy power players that profit from the ongoing conflict, and they don't want it to end. But just for perspective, one of the things that I wanted to comment, and just for our audience, one thing that's to me kind of a linchpin to considering the implications of this region. Joe, if you pan out about 40 times, pan way out on that map, you're going to get a huge area of the planet, and I've seen it color-coded, showing Israel as you can think of Israel as red, and the area around it, all of those countries, virtually everything you see on the map would be green, representing Muslim nations. And to put that in American context, it's kind of like looking at a map of most of the U.S. and considering from Maine down into Georgia over to Missouri and up in past Illinois, and then consider the area of roughly greater Cleveland representing Israel. The type of conflict that exists when you have that small region having become the target of so many nations. And actually, sorry, that gets a little bit complex, and I'd love Yaakov's opinion on this as well. There are a great number of entities and people within neighboring nations who there's great evidence would be very amenable to peaceful relations with Israel. But we have a lot of senior leadership in a lot of the Arab and predominantly Muslim nations who unfortunately derive power and profit from maintaining that agitation. So I think if there were a way to remove them, the people that benefit from the fight, from the ongoing conflict, there are, I think, clear indications that Israel would probably be recognized as a nation, and a lot of that tension would evaporate and disappear. And in particular, what we now call Palestine or the Gaza Strip, I think a lot of that would evaporate if there weren't the money and power that comes out of having Israel, the Jewish state, I'm air quoting that, Israel, the Jewish state, for everybody to point at and focus energy, weapons, military, and attention on. Those are my thoughts.
Hang on a second. I'm going to bring in Mikhail. Mikhail, if you want to turn your camera, your cell phone side landscape, we'll get you a bigger
There he is.
picture.
Hey, Mikhail.
Hello.
Mikhail sideways.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Work. Sorry about that. I thought it would work. Usually it works, but now you just get me dizzy. Ah!
Uh-oh. Not working.
All right, that's not working. That's okay. That's fine. So we got Mikhail here. So, Mikhail, what? I know you're. Well, first of all, where are you at? Where are you at there? You're out and about somewhere.
Yeah, hang on a second. So, can you hear me?
I hear you, but you froze up. But I can hear you. Go ahead.
We can hear you.
There you
hang on
go.
a second. I'm trying to iOS. Let me just tell you. Anyway, so there's a different protest here. Actually, it's more like an awareness rally of Save the Druze. So a bunch of things that in select news it got some play where some of the Islamists are more or less trying to kill all the Druze. Druze are not really Muslims, separate religion. They don't take converts. There's about 1 million of them in Israel and Syria. And the new Al-Qaeda-ish regime in Syria tried to kill them. Israel came in, basically kind of put a pause on most of it.
But so you're at some kind of a protest out there, Beechwood area, maybe University Heights, something like that. All right, let me ask you a question here. We have Yakov is with us here today. Yakov, he's from Cleveland Heights. Hi. He's been to Israel multiple times. I know, Mikhail, you've been to Israel just recently, from what I understand.
Yeah, during the war.
Sorry, so we got onto the subject here. I just thought maybe you could throw 2 cents in if you'd like. We're talking about the Gaza Strip, okay?
Yeah.
We're trying to understand it. Yakov's been giving us some history of it. What is going on right now in the Gaza Strip?
Right now, the Israeli Defense Forces brass is taking its sweet time, let's just put it that way. The political leadership, the military leadership is a little too sclerotic. It's taking way too much time. Trump was right in the last 24 hours to basically publicly call this out. Finish the job. You're not getting any credit for doing some stupid above and beyond sort of humanitarian steps. You're not helping the situation. Any so-called humanitarian aid that's distributed through the UN is effectively resupplying Hamas.
Because the humanitarian aid is got weaponry with it.
No. Because the UN humanitarian aid is all Hamas. Because they have Hamas people in UN employment position. The UN is very toxic. Anybody that says get US out of the UN is probably correct. So the UN administered aid is all resupplying Hamas. They insist on the trucks not being inspected so they can get the ammunition and whatever else and the fuel. So it's not food. Israel was different under Trump. Israel started its own network of distribution of food. And it suddenly started the ball moving in the right direction. Very beginning steps. Suddenly you have militia not aligned with Hamas. Small time, a couple of hundred armed people here, a couple of hundred armed people there, not under control of Hamas, distributing food that Hamas does not get control over. And now you have the beginning of something that can actually work. Finally, a year and a half plus into it, we have contours of some kind of a solution. Generally, if IDF finally moves in, because a whole ton of footage is being spent on leveled and rubble in Gaza, that's way less than half of Gaza. A whole ton of Gaza is very much untouched by the war. They have ice cream shops, they have dessert shops, they have this and that and the other. They need to figure out how to finish the job like Trump
said. Quick question so I can understand. Then I'm going to get back to Yakov here for a few minutes. What does finish the job exactly mean?
So the finish the job is Hamas is barricading themselves, blending with the civilians, and you have to do what's necessary. Go in, you don't raid like during the Biden years. They would raid the area, leave, and then Hamas comes back like nothing ever happened. No. You level the buildings, you make sure that the tanks and other equipment can go through, not in the narrow streets. You basically move the population into a tent area elsewhere. Then you dismantle the Israeli bureaucracy that's got like only 600 of them leaving to other countries. They found some countries in Africa and elsewhere to take the people. A whole bunch of people in Gaza aren't exactly patriotic. They don't have history of Palestinian state. A whole lot of them have Egyptian passports from pre-67 and whatever else. So they're happy to go elsewhere. just take them. So there's places that will take them. Israeli bureaucracy needs to get out of this way, help them out. Once you move the population away from the built-up area, Hamas is not able to put together traps for Israeli Defense Forces with temperature, with thermal controls of the drones. IDF can much more easily wage war against Hamas. Yeah, sure, they'll go underground, but it's half the battle is won when the built-up areas are not there. So you have to finish the job. When every time IDF cranks up, Israeli Defense Forces cranks up the pressure, Hamas runs to Qatar to try to get the negotiations going again. They'll throw in better terms. They'll throw in some hostages. So the point is, you put the pressure full scale. None of this tickling around the edges, some kind of crazy humanitarian concerns for which they obviously don't get any credit. Look at what France is doing. You're not getting any credit for doing some stupid humanitarian things. Look, it's war. It's ugly. Certain ugly things happen. Sometimes you end up dinging on the side a little bit of a church. Listen, it's a war. Things happen.
Gotcha.
So,
Mikhail, all right. Thanks for that update. Thank you very much.
Listen, Joe, I got to get back to the things. I'm collecting signatures for property tax, local
Great.
School board candidates, whatever else. But thank you for having me on your show. I'll
pleasure is ours. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mikhail.
Thank you, Mikhail.
Bye-bye.
Yakov, just got a couple of minutes here. So, is that the case then, in your opinion? Do they have to say, let's get the job done already, or is something else you want to say in closing about the whole incident? Go ahead.
Yeah, so what he said about the UN, I wanted to add a little bit that there was a huge scandal where it was uncovered that at UNRWA, I think it's pronounced, the UNRWA, United Nations Relief and Works Agency, which is a agency for Palestinian refugees and for supporting them and standing up for this, that. It was shown very clearly that several dozen staff members from this organization actually partook in October 7th. They stormed the border, went into various Israeli border communities, and raped and killed and did all these horrible things that just like all the other Hamas terrorists were doing on October the 7th. And it took over a year before anything was said about it, before these people were found out and fired by the United Nations. I personally believe that although the United Nations as a whole is, at least it was probably founded in good intentions. There's a saying that the pathway to Gehenna is paved with the pathway to the opposite of heaven is paved with good intentions. I don't think that the UN as it stands today stands for the same values that it used to back in let's say the 1940s or 30s. And although I wouldn't go as far as to say that the United States should leave the United Nations, there should be a lot of pressure put on the United Nations to control its various agencies and to hold people actually accountable for what they've done. Now, about finishing the job in Gaza, I believe that first of all, on October 7th, what made me angriest was that we had no control. This territory was completely controlled by terrorists, and the rule of law simply didn't exist, and there was nothing we can do about it. The only recourse we have is to invade and take out these lawless, for lack of a better word, these lawless barbarians. And in our efforts in doing so, they have entrenched themselves so deep and used every dirty trick in the book in order to make that as difficult as possible. And ultimately, I think that Israel, being charitable to them and trying to save civilians in every single scenario possible, even when it means endangering the lives of Israeli soldiers or protecting terrorists, I think that it goes a little bit too far. Now, if it were up to me, how I would handle the war, I would personally, currently Israel has managed to take over a fairly large area. Currently they control about 65% of the Gaza Strip. That's more than enough land for a continuous humanitarian zone. If we wanted to, using the areas that are under operational control, Israel could totally clear out a bunch of rubble, build a tent city that can house the vast majority of the 2 million population of Gaza, and for the rest of the Strip, just go in and raze it completely to the ground, destroy every single tunnel, destroy everything, destroy every single terrorist hideout, and kill every last terrorist. And once that's
Riley Herbst from 2311 Racing here, and you know what grinds my gears? Waiting for coffee. But instead of counting frappes and lattes, I fire up Chumba Casino. No apps, no fuss, just fun social casino games to pass the time. By the time my coffee's ready,
Order for Riley.
I've already taken a few victory laps. Next time you're stuck waiting, make it entertaining. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
done, I don't know if it's worth investing to rebuild Gaza. It's a very expensive project, but you can allow people to move back once there's no longer security hazard. Just because these people have terrorist sympathies, at least 35% of them, doesn't mean that you can't rehabilitate the population. But I got you.
So I guess what we would say here in closing is that, you've got to do something to eliminate Hamas. Also, the starvation. A lot of the supplies and that are coming in, they're coming in with food and weaponry for Hamas. That's another issue that's not being talked about enough. All right, Yaakov, I got to get to my next guest. I want to thank you very much for everything you do and being so up on this. We got to have you on again. We want young people on this show, so I really appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thank you very much, okay?
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yaakov.
Yeah, very good. All right. I'm going to see if our next guest is with us. Judge, are you out there?
I'm there. How are you?
Oh, hold it a second here. Let's get you. Judge Joseph T. Burke, how are you?
How are you, gentlemen? It's good to be alive.
Wait a minute, gentlemen.
Thanks
Who's
for
he
joining
talking to? That's not
for
us. That's for darn sure.
Must be Brian.
It's got to be so. Yeah, that's
Brian's the gentleman.
That used to being called a gentleman. Good grief. So, all right, let's talk about you here, and appreciate you coming on tonight, and really, really appreciate it. All right, let me just give a quick introduction to you. All right, because you, and I'm talking about Judge Burke.
Do I need an intro, Joe?
Do you need an intro? Not much. You don't need much. Okay, born and raised in Bay Village. How's that? Bay Village.
Yeah,
so some people, if you're from Northeast Ohio, you know where Bay Village is. If you're not from Northeast Ohio, you probably don't. You went to St. Ignatius High School. I got to give you a thumbs up for that. You have 3 daughters and 3 dogs. Your wife is Michelle. You've been married 15 years. Does that sound right?
I think it's closer to 17 now.
Ah, okay. How time flies.
Yeah.
You love and cherish spending time in Lake Erie.
Yes.
I assume that means fishing as well as boating. Is that right?
It does. Absolutely.
Okay, so your claim to fame, let's talk about this here. You ran a race about a year and a half ago to become the Rocky River Municipal Court judge, right?
Correct.
Okay, I got the numbers here, and it was a close race. You won by 280 votes.
Actually, Joe, I won by 178 because after the election, they mysteriously found 950 ballots in Bay Village that were unaccounted for in a memory stick. So they had to process those. And after they did so, my lead went down to 178. Then it went to an automatic recount.
Wow.
But it did not change. So
okay, I do want to point out there were 42,000 42,000 votes were cast.
Right.
And to win by 170. That tells you how important every single vote is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely important. And people don't realize that. 42,000 votes, and you won by 170 when it was all said and done. So congratulations to that. You also have 31 years experience as a trial attorney. So
33 before I was elected, now 34 as a judge, but yes.
Okay, 34.
Yeah.
So lots of experience and everything. Let's talk about what's on the horizon here with the Ohio Republican Party, because you're vying for Jennifer Bruner's seat on the Ohio Supreme Court.
That's correct.
There are 5. We also have 5 other judges, or maybe 5 including you. Can't keep track. 4 or 5 that want that to go up against Jennifer Bruner as well. And the Ohio Republican Party is going to eventually choose one of those judges, so there won't be a primary.
Correct.
There won't be a primary. Too expensive. Judges fighting each other doesn't look good. So whoever is chosen, I think the other judges have just did a gentleman's bet and said we're going to move aside, and whoever the Ohio Republican Party chooses, they're the nominee for November to go up against Jennifer Bruner and to get the last seat that the Democrats hold on the Ohio Supreme Court. A lot of people don't realize this, but we got 6 of the 7 seats.
Right.
We're trying to go 7 for 7. So that sounds pretty much what you're up to here, correct? So let's talk about that. You're going from a municipal judge to the Ohio Supreme Court. Seems like a little bit of a gap. Would you agree with that or not?
No, I wouldn't agree with it because, number one, I practiced law for 33 years before I was elected. And not only that, just so you know, I clerked with 3 different judges right out of law school. I clerked at the Supreme Court of Hawaii for a Supreme Court justice. I clerked for a judge of the 8th District Court of Appeals, and I clerked for federal judge. All judges at different levels: trial court, court of appeals, Supreme Court. And then I practiced for a lot. Tried a number of cases. A very rich practice. I also argued 3 cases in the Ohio Supreme Court. It's really my claim to fame. And just so you know, the Ohio Supreme Court takes less than 10% of all cases for jurisdiction. They only take cases of great import, not capable of repetition, or that are capable of repetition. So to get there, some attorneys go their whole career, don't have 1. I had 3. And it wasn't luck or happenstance. It was very strategic. I looked at issues early on. I decided I wanted to highlight those issues and make them my theme. Then I made the record around it, and I played the long game. My second case, Kona, took 8 years from the trial court to when the Court of Appeals issued its decision. And I represented all the clients in every level, so I didn't just do the oral argument. So I have the background and experience to do exactly this job, which entails a lot of legal writing and legal analysis. So I would say that what the Supreme Court justices do is they essentially write opinions. And I've have 21 reported cases in my career. I've had a lot of extensive trial and appellate experience. So it wouldn't be much of a transition. And then I would say with Justice Dieters, he broke the model. If you recall, he was never even a judge when he was appointed.
Oh, good point. Yeah, I forgot all about that. Judge, that's right. Yeah. Dieters was appointed, but he was never a judge, was he?
Never a judge.
Right. Okay, but he's on the Ohio Supreme Court now. But it's more than just what? It's more than just being a judge and handling cases. There's a few other important items. Let's talk about winning, because it doesn't do you any good. Like when you won that last election by 170 votes, if you had lost by 5 votes, you know there's no second place when it comes to campaigns. And so what the Republican Party is looking for is also somebody who can win, somebody who can campaign and win. So how would you stack up with that?
So I would say, number one, I'm only one of 6 Republican judges in our entire Cuyahoga County, Joe, and you live on the east side. That's mind-boggling. We have one Republican judge at the common pleas level. I won in a primarily Democratic area. And how did I win? I won because I outworked, I outspent my opponent, and I made sure the voters knew that I was, the most experienced, qualified candidate. I also worked hard, and I brought a little prop here. I walked 750 miles, Joe. I kid you not, door to door in the 5 cities, okay? And I kept this little calendar. I actually started in April. I didn't start tracking it until June. And I would track each day how many miles I walked, okay? 750 miles. I walked with a college kid. I mean, it was like very rote. I mean, this is like pull up your sleeves. And if you think you're too good for a judge, no, I didn't. I walked out there. And by the way, when I ran off your media court election, I'm thinking low turnout generally. Well, what happens? We had issue 1, abortion was on the ballot. We had issue 2, marijuana on the ballot. And next thing you know, it went from 27% voter turnout to 58%. So my messaging had to change because I had a lot more people out there. It was incredible. I had literally, I grew up in Bay, I live in River. I had people tell me to get off their property because they found out I was a Republican candidate. And they were so upset about abortion up here. True story.
You're right, though. This area, there's a lot of Democrats. It's like everywhere. It's Democrat infested. But for a Republican judge to win, that does say a lot. And I'm going to give it to these other guys for a second. But one other thing, too. What about collecting money, donations, things of that nature? Where would you stack up with that?
So it's interesting. If you look at the campaign finance reports, my limits were $600, which is the individual limit. And I raised, I believe I raised $52,000, which is a lot of individual contributions. And I'm in 5 cities. Now, it's a very dense population. And, you would look at the other candidates in the race, and they don't have that. They have not proven they can fundraise like that. And they're in, red counties, big counties, population 1.5 million. So it's critical now that the party is on the name of the ballot, that you have to be able to go out and campaign and fundraise. You have to work a room. And, these aren't sexy races, so people don't generally like to give money. I mean, it's not like his, governor thing. So you really have to work the state very hard. And I've done that. I've appeared in about 40 counties in the last 6 months. Met some wonderful people, good, honest, modest people that are conservative, that I've really enjoyed. And so that's the other part of it. You have to be able to raise money.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You have to be able to campaign. We have to win.
And you got to be outgoing, and you have that outgoing spirit. I was at the Lincoln dinner here in Cuyahoga County, and you were up there on the podium, and you were talking, and you were very vibrant and enthusiastic, and the whole works. So we got that. Brian, do you have a question for the judge? He could be the next Supreme Court judge.
Yeah, every time that I've heard a judge on the political stump, a lot of them say, "Well, I really can't answer that question because that issue may come before me, and I would have to recuse myself," or something like that. So, one of the basic questions I ask a judge, a candidate for a judge, what's the role of government? How would you define the role of government in our system?
Good question. I think it's a great question. So Article 3 of our Constitution basically has separation of powers. We have the executive branch, legislative, and judicial. Okay? And so on the judicial side, you don't want to overstep your province. My philosophy in terms of what judges should be doing is to interpret the law, not make the law. That's what we have the legislature for. And so, we have to respect the boundaries of each. we do have the opportunity to rule on constitutionality of statutes, but it's a fine line. And I think that's what the framers came up with, is that, you look to the Constitution, you look to plain language when you interpret things. So I think I'm mindful. My philosophy is to be mindful of the branches and what our role is. And, we are not here to legislate. We're not here to create law. We're here to interpret the law and whether a statute is constitutional. So that's really the role of, I think, the judiciary and the political process.
Thank you very much.
Get Jonathan in here. Do you have a question for the judge? And remember, you might be standing before him in Rocky River with your speeding ticket.
Uh-oh. Well, I better watch myself in Rocky River. Not far from Bay Village, where I was disallowed to speak before the school board. But that's a topic for another podcast. So the first thing I want to say, I've brought it up before. It comes up periodically during this podcast. A man by the name of Dan Schultz and I have been advocating for and training the nation on precinct strategy for 2 years nationally. I'll be representing Ohio in a few weeks, talking about the importance of filling the Republican Party with constitutional conservative Republicans. That's what I advocate for. When Joe brings up the fact that a nod from the Republican Party, from the ORP, for our next Supreme Court justice is that powerful, that the Ohio Republican Party ultimately is going to make the decision on behalf of all of Ohio, that's the sort of thing that I'm talking about. And I want people to take this seriously. If you're not already following precinct strategy, find me on social media, engage in the conversation, and find out about all the important things that happen day to day, ongoing, most of it at the local level where you live, that impact things like this. Now, that's my advocating for precinct strategy and for filling the Republican Party, especially in Ohio, with solid Republicans, because we need that. As far as my question, I think I want to phrase it this way. I've had the great opportunity to speak with a number of judges before and during their bench, so a few Supreme Court justices, and it seems that during the campaign trail, there's a lot of talk about the constitutionality of measuring, of being objective in review of the law and not officiating or legislating from the bench. But I see so often there are people that I don't know what it is. It's just maybe the power of the position takes over and they get excited. And I feel, and I think there's some universal concern about judges who do overstep and legislate from the bench, especially if they're politically motivated. So I think that I want to ask the question, what do you think should be available as a recourse to the public to rein in the powers of judges who overstep?
Well, I think ultimately they're elected. So, I mean, that is the ultimate arbiter. So if someone is not, if a party is not satisfied with someone, they can primary that person, but ultimately the voters elect them. I would say this, gentlemen, there's an age limit for judges in Ohio. It's 70. There's no age limit for president or governor, but there is for that. I don't have a problem with the age limit. I almost feel like there should be term limits for judges. I mean, I don't know if judges should be serving on the benches for 30 years. It's time to let somebody else new. So, but I think ultimately it's about elections. And then if people aren't happy, then there's a constitutional process and they can be voted out. And I think you're seeing that happen. And let me give you one example, because I am not a frivolous person. So when I say don't legislate for the bench, my last Supreme Court case was called Beverage Holdings. And it was a real estate contract, commercial real estate contract. And the dispute was one sentence in the contract. And I won in the trial court, went to the 8th District. I initially won 2-1. They said the language was clear and unambiguous. You win. And there was a dissenting judge who wrote a scathing dissent saying, hey, listen, the contract may be clear and unambiguous, but it could lead to a manifest absurdity and a bad bargain. So the judges should be able to rewrite contracts. The other side picked up on that, filed a motion for reconsideration, and the other judge who voted in my favor flipped. So I went from winning 2-1 to losing 1-2. So then I filed my own recon, which was denied. And then I asked for an en banc saying, hey, listen, your new decision's in conflict with other precedent in the 8th District. They granted it, and they said no further briefings required. Then the person who wrote the dissent announced that they're running for the House Supreme Court. And it was Melanie Stewart. And then all of a sudden I get an entry that there was no longer a majority that thinks this case is in conflict. And in that particular case, if you can't rely on written contracts, and we have the Wild Wild West. And that was a clear case, I believe. I can talk about this because it's my case, where we had judges rewriting contract law, not based on contract precedent, but because they felt they could lead to a bad bargain. And that was going to eviscerate 150 years of contract jurisprudence. I won that case in the House Supreme Court. Justice Stewart was elected. It was interesting. She had to recuse herself. But there's an example of me not just saying, I don't legislate. I took to task this particular court for what they did. And ultimately, the Supreme Court got it right. So I just want you to know that, I walk the walk and I talk the talk.
Right.
That's a great example. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question, Judge. You were bringing up age and everything. And let's talk about Pat Fisher, if we could, for a minute, if you want to get into that at all.
Yeah.
But Pat Fisher is already an Ohio Supreme Court justice. So he is on the bench right now. But he also wants to go up against Jennifer Brunner. Now, he's almost 70. And his reasoning is if he can beat Jennifer, then he could stay on till probably 74 or something. What's your thoughts on that? Is that a problem, or do you not have a problem with that? Just curious.
No, listen. Justice Fisher has been a fine justice, so in no way would I ever denigrate what he's done. But I am fundamentally opposed to what he's doing. So what happens is, so everyone understands, his current seat ends in 2028. At that point, he'll be 70. He cannot run again under Ohio law constitution. You're age 70. So what he's doing is trying to run for this seat in 26, so that ultimately he'll get 4 more years on the bench. And, my feeling is we have age restrictions for a reason. I think that if the State Central Committee endorses this policy, it's going to be a dangerous precedent going forward. You're going to have judges, not only in the High Court, but the Court of Appeals and Common Pleas, jockeying so they can get more years out of it. And I just think fundamentally it's a flawed concept, what he's trying to do. He's been a great justice. Thank you for your service. But the only thing I see out is he gets 4 more years. But it's a precedent that I'm really concerned about, and I think everyone's taken it very seriously. So that's my most tactful way in saying I respect Justice Fisher, but I'm not sure everyone has embraced what he's doing.
All right, Brian, I'll give you a question here before we wrap it up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Judge, just a basic personal question. Have you enjoyed being on the bench? Has it been everything that you thought it would be when you first started? It has been.
I love it. I am so blessed to be where I'm at. In Rocky River, we have 5 cities I serve, and what I can do is I can touch people's lives. People with addiction issues, they're usually not serious because they're in meeting court or they're younger, and I can change the arc of their lives. And when I do so, it's the most gratifying experience of my life. So I absolutely love what I'm doing. The Supreme Court has always been my dream. And the reason why is because then we can create case law that benefits the whole citizens of Ohio. So, it's on a broader range where you can change arc of lives. So I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. I love what I'm doing. It's changed my life in a very good way. I was a great attorney. I'm so grateful to be here. And also one of the things, guys, I just want you to know that, listen, I didn't grow up as a blue blood. Okay. My father didn't go to college. He was a truck driver. He ended up owning a trucking company, ended up being in 3 states. He was very modest. So I didn't come from, my dad wasn't a lawyer, but my parents made sure that all of our kids had education. And I am so grateful for that opportunity because I took advantage of it. And I learned. And the other thing about a justice, I just think you need for a justice, it isn't a training ground. It isn't like I wanted, the next stepping stone. It's for somebody who's been there, done that, has demonstrated in their career that they've seen it all. Criminal and civil cases, tried cases. I've got more experience than every other candidate except for Justice Fisher, and he's got me beat by a couple of years. So I think that's really what it is. It's not learn on the job. It's been there, done that. You got a little gray hair. Life experiences are important. So that's the kind of the picture that I want people to understand is that we have to make some serious decisions, and you want somebody who's been there, been in the trenches. And I feel like I'm that person.
Thank you so much. Say good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you. Jonathan, I'll give you the last question here tonight. Go ahead. If you would.
Give a good one, Jonathan.
All right. Thinking on my feet here. So tell us about what you feel is the most impactful case, an important case that you've presided over.
Well, I've handled so many. I would say the Beverage Holdings was a huge case because what in jeopardy was 150 years of contract law that the 8th District was trying to eviscerate. And again, if you can't rely on contracts, you have nothing. But my first case in the Ohio Supreme Court was called Guadalupe, and it was actually set the standards for criminal motions to suppress. And that one benefited the most, more citizens in the state of Ohio because what they were trying to do is get away from hearings, making it more onerous for litigants to challenge motions to suppress. And so that case said, no. It's about due process. Remember, we are judges. It's about fairness. We want to make sure everyone has due process and they're heard. And so the Guadalupe case set forth the standards for criminal motions to suppress. And so it was one of the most significant cases in 20 years. And I'm very grateful to have been successful in that. So I think that was the case that really benefited, most Ohioans, because we're umpires, but people want to be heard, and that's what I found in my courtroom. Most of my defendants, they just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to, and I take that time. And I listen to them, because oftentimes they have negative connotations of judges and courts, and I listen to them, and it makes all the difference in the world when I can connect to that person. And I meet my defendants wherever they are. And that's what I think judges should be doing.
No, you're right. You are absolutely right. Spoken like a real judge. I mean, I think you did a great job there. Well, I want to thank you, Joseph, for coming on here tonight. Really appreciate it. And
it's
best
Joe.
of luck.
Thank you.
Best of absolute luck for you. The one thing I will say is also it's important for judges to be outgoing. That helps with the campaigning. That helps with getting votes. Blah blah blah. And I can see that you're very outgoing, and that's a big plus, right? So thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. The best judges were the ones who were in private practice because they know what it is to hustle.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Got to get into the real world in order to do it. Well, thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you,
All
Judge.
right. So before we wrap it up, Brian, what's going on with property taxes? I mean, just give us the Cliff Notes version. What's happening?
I sent you the advertisement. We got a 2-minute ad that our friend Gary produced for us, and we're excited about that. And again, just trying to get the message out. I'll be out, as I said, in Marietta and Xenia. We're talking to other people throughout the state that want to help us. But the judge said something that resonated with me because I'm seeing it also is that our citizens in the state of Ohio do not feel that they have a voice in our legislators. If there's one thing that I've picked up on is that they're really disappointed that the legislators are just not listening to them, nor do they seem to care about them. I'm trying to get that message across, and then when I issued the press release about, Governor DeWine, it didn't matter whether or not the legislators overrode the veto or not to us, because we've made a promise to the people in the state of Ohio that if they help us sign the petition and we get it on the ballot, they will have the ultimate voice at the ballot box to regain their freedom and liberty by eliminating these property taxes. And I just tell the legislators, take note, we're not going to quit. And we just say to the citizens of the state of Ohio, help us so that we can help you regain your freedom, and you're no longer just going to be renters from the government.
Yeah, can't be renters. Jonathan, what's up with you? What say you? What's up? What have you been doing? I'm nosy. I'm very nosy, but I know you've been doing a lot.
I was excited to hear Chris Long's comment that we may have 200 to 250,000 signatures.
Well, let's ask Brian. Is that a yay or a nay? Or are you going to just mum it?
We're not giving out any numbers on the signatures. We're going to keep the politicians guessing.
Smart,
okay.
Smart,
right.
good.
That's the best
so
way to do it.
If that's whatever it is, I am amazed by the number of people and the tremendous hard work of people like Brian Massey and Leonard Gilbert and many, many others out there who are working really hard on getting those petitions and signatures. Tune in.
We should mention John Maher in there too.
What's that?
We should mention John Maher in there. John has been very instrumental, as well as Vesna Barisic.
Yeah, it's a growing list. So if I don't mention your name, it's not intended to be a personal slight. It's that there are a lot of great people out there in the state of Ohio who are fighting hard for this, and that's awesome. I am going to tease something out. The producers of the documentary that featured yours truly, which got me actually an IMDb page, which I was surprised to learn about. I am a part of a documentary that aired on Newsmax called Transforming America. It has to do with the education system in the United States. And there is talk of another. I can't say too much about it, but it appears that I may factor into that one as well. I've been invited to provide some comment, so stay tuned. There may be another documentary. And just, it was such a fun and interesting experience. Going into studio and then being mic'd up and filmed for a little bit. I had some conversation. Parts of that factored into that original documentary. As I said, it's Newsmax Transforming America. It's on the Newsmax network. This one, it's breathtaking, what has been described to me. And it's something I think that hopefully can move the needle and push us as a nation back toward educating children and leaving them to their childhood. That's something that Brian, I know, holds dear. He's been fighting hard against overfunding the non-educational nonsense taking place in K through 12. And I guess that's all I'll say on that. Stay tuned for more information on that exciting turn of events.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with it. Newsmax. All right, guys. Have a nice. Thanks again, Jonathan. Brian, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Can't do it without you.
Shout out to Kent.
And Kent. Sorry, Kent. Yeah, forget about Kent sometimes. Kent, you out there?
Yeah, I just want to say, definitely subscribe to all of our social platforms. Make sure to check us out on all the different platforms that we have. We're on, especially on Facebook. We're really boosting our Facebook. And everybody that's on Facebook, thanks for watching this right now. And And if you like what we're doing on Facebook, send us a star. That will really help us continue to do what we're doing. You can also go to ohiopoliticalnews.com. Right at the top, you can support us. You can also go to the shop. We're building that up to have some more stuff with the property taxes and the upcoming elections for 2026. So stay tuned on that. But make sure to subscribe, like on Facebook, and also go on TikTok. We are having so much fun on TikTok. Make sure to follow us on TikTok. We'll be putting out a bunch of videos over there. A lot of people have a lot of comments. We've blown up on TikTok big time, and especially go over there. We're also live streaming right now on Substack. So if you can watch us on Substack, you can watch us on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble. You can watch us on Substack too. So stay tuned every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Ken. All right, guys. See you later. Take care. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
The games are done.